Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à votre première leçon de français. Today we'll be learning about some really basic French vocab just to get you started so you can have your first ever little conversation in French. And also learn how to introduce yourself if you're meeting a French person for the first time. So starting with the absolute first French word you should ever say, that word is bonjour. Now have a look how it is spelt beside me. And one of the first really important things there is to learn about French is that if you are familiar with English, unfortunately that's going to be both a helper and a hinderer, because the way we see a French word written sometimes doesn't help us say it very well, because our knowledge of English is going to get in the way. So I want you to think about the fact that French has some silent letters, it has some letter groups that are pronounced very differently from how they are in English. In the word bonjour, you might notice that you didn't hear the N in the middle, and in fact that little letter group ON makes the sound un. So as you're learning to say these words, I want you to have a look at my mouth and the way it makes the shapes, and I want you to copy how it sounds rather than just reading it as if it were an English word. So just repeat after me. Bonjour. Excellent. Bonjour. Now just note, bonjour doesn't exactly mean hello, it actually technically means good day. So if it is past 5 p.m, you're actually going to need to say bonsoir instead. Bonsoir. Note how both words end in an R, and in French there is a little sound in the back of our throat that the R makes. Bonjour. Bonsoir. See if we can try that. Bonjour. Bonsoir. All right. Another way to say hello, if you're being a little bit more casual, and it may be a tiny bit easier, is the word salut. The T on the end is completely silent when you say it. Salut. Word is a little bit more casual. It's like saying hi. Salut. Once we've greeted somebody, the next thing we often want to know is how they're going. Pretty easy way to say that in French is comment ça va? Comment ça va? Or more quickly, comment ça va? French person will also often just say ça va, and the way we raise our voice tells us that that is a question. Ça va. You may have noticed a little hook on the bottom of the C. That's what we call an accent. Now, some words in French do have accents that help to tell us how we say them. Anytime you see a C with that accent, which is called the cedilla, it's going to be pronounced S. I always like to imagine that that little hook is like turning it into a miniature S. So our pronunciation is always ça va. When we're answering that question, it's really, really easy, because ça va actually can be our answer as well. We're just going to say it as if it's an answer, and that means I'm fine when it's an answer. Ça va. As a question, ça va? Answer, ça va. If we want to give some details, we're just going to add on to the end how well we're going. So we can use either the word bien or mal for well and badly, or good and bad. Ça va bien. Ça va mal. Ça va bien. Ça va. Ça va mal. Now, if we're meeting someone who we've never met before, knowing each other's names is pretty important. I'm going to do this in a casual way today because it's just a little bit easier, but later on we can learn about how to do this in the formal way as well. So the question that means what's your name is tu t'appelles comment? Tu t'appelles comment? Tu t'appelles comment? What's your name? And to answer it, we use some of the same words, but we start the sentence with the word je. Je means I. whereas tu from the question meant you. So whenever we're talking about ourselves, we're usually going to start the sentence with the word je. To say my name is, we say je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. And then we put our name after it. Now, as we are speaking French, if you have a go putting a little French accent on your name, that's always going to make it sound more authentic. So you pop your name at the end and you say it. Be something like, je m'appelle Riella. Je m'appelle Riella. You can pop your name in. Je m'appelle. Next one is finding out our age. Again, we're asking someone else the question, so it's going to start with the word tu for you. We can say, tu as quel âge? Literally, you have what age? But exactly the same way an English speaker would say, how old are you? Tu as quel âge? Tu as quel âge? Tu as quel âge? Note that we didn't say the you in the word quel. Often English speakers want to say que when they see that letter group, but we have to make sure we don't hear that you. Que. Quel. Tu as quel âge? And when we answer, in French we say we have a certain number of years. And the word for I have, again, je for I, but it's actually going to join to the next word for have, and it's going to be j'ai. J'ai means I have. Now, in the middle, we're going to put the number for how old we are, and then at the end, we're going to put the word un, which means years. Now, my age is 41, so I'm going to put that in. I'm going to say, j'ai 41 ans. J'ai 41 ans. I will do another video with all the numbers a bit later, but if you're a secondary school student, you're probably going to be one of the ages here. If you are 12, that is 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. So if we're 12 years old, j'ai 12 ans. J'ai 13 ans. J'ai 14 ans. J'ai 15 ans. J'ai 16 ans. J'ai 17 ans. J'ai 18 ans. The last question and answer we're going to do is where we live. So again, our question starts with tu, and this one is, tu habites où? Tu habites où? Where do you live? Tu habites où? The où means where. Now in our answer, lots of ways we can answer, but I'm going to show you how to put the name of your town in, because that's a really nice, simple way to do it. Again, je, but it's going to join to the word live, which is habite, and we say j'habite. J'habite. The H in French is completely silent, so just imagine it isn't there when you're saying it. J'habite. Then we put the word à, which means at or in, and then we can put the name of our town. Now, I live in a town called Ballarat in Victoria, and so I say j'habite à Ballarat. Again, if you are able to just have a go putting a French accent on your town name, that always makes it sound better, but whatever you are confident with. J'habite à Ballarat. Now, if we just want to introduce ourselves, we can say those little things about ourselves. Bonjour, je m'appelle Riella, j'ai 41 ans et j'habite à Ballarat. Merci. And when we want to finish our conversation, we can use some words for bye. I just use the word merci, which means thank you. And sometimes that's a good way to end what we're saying. Merci. Merci. We could also use a more formal word for goodbye, which is au revoir. Au revoir. We can also say à bientôt, which means see you soon. À bientôt. À bientôt. So why don't you have a go now putting your answers in as I ask the questions. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Tu t'appelles comment? Tu as quel âge? Tu habites où? Au revoir. Et merci beaucoup et au revoir. À la prochaine. À bientôt.